In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to take our art journal cover and make it into the finished journal cover. So the supplies that you need is one of the covers from the panel. There are 7 included. I'm choosing the garden cover today. You need your inside lining fabric, which I chose the linen, and you need a stiff interfacing. This one is fusible. I believe it's Pelletex. So let's get started. Okay, so my garden cover is already cut to size. I just cut it on the dotted line that's included in the panel, and my Pelletex is also cut to size. I cut it a little bit just inside of the green portion, because when I wrap it, I don't want any white to show. I just want to see the green. And then I'm going to cut the lining to size. I want it to be approximately the same size. The green will be wrapped, but the lining will just be turned and fused. So this piece is already the right width, so I'm just going to need to cut the length. That way I'll have plenty to turn. It's easier to get the interfacing square than the cover. So if I know that that is square, then I know where I need to tug and stretch the fabric to get it to wrap evenly all the way around. Again, this is a fusible product, so this is looking pretty good. Now I'm only going to press the edges, and then I'll flip the entire piece to fuse the majority of the cover. As you can see, I'm pulling just enough so that I have, in this case, green, the green portion of the cover. And here's one other choice that you can make that I should have done first, but I'm going to leave my corners a little bit open so that I like the round corners like a journal actually has. So on my first one, I did cut my corners, I rounded them before I fused, so I will do that. I probably went a little too far on the glue on that one, but you want to try to avoid your pressing onto the fusible product. Okay. Do the same step at the bottom. It's stretched taut. That worked pretty well. I think the sides appear to be fairly lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and press some of the center of this. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do before adding the sides is I am going to try to round my corners. So all I simply did was pull back the fabric. You can make yourself a template for this. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, now you're going to treat each corner somewhat. You're going to have to do a little bit of pleating as you iron, something like this, to make that curve. And I'm hoping I have that where you can see what I did. But first, I'm going to fuse these sides from side to side. Corners last. As you can see, you may want to trim some of your fabric excess so it's a little easier to get that pleated in. Close enough that when you get your cover turned to the other side, it won't matter too much. Front cover is better than this back portion, so I'm not concerned. So we're going to trim some of our fabric. Have decided to trim a little bit of the lining fabric because, one, it is not as square as I thought, but now that the outside cover is fused to the Peltex, it's very square. So I'm going to trim it to about, I want it more than 1/4 inch, but I'm probably going to trim it about 1/2 inch, possibly, to the outside, because I do want to turn it before we stitch it. A 1/2 inch around the outside of the outside cover. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to simply turn and iron. I think I'm going to turn and press at least on one side just to get started. Now you could do it right on top of your cover, and that might not be a bad idea. Then you will get it sized perfectly. Now I'm happy with the top turn just slightly under the green. So I'm going to go straight down with the iron, stretching the linen toward the bottom and out to the sides. Okay, so now we're fused to the inside body. You can see I've only got the top turned, and so now I'm gonna go around to each of the 3 sides and also turn it where it looks good to me. I'm gonna Now that it's already stretched and pressed, I'm going to turn the opposite side first before I do the sides. And I'm just going to be basically pressing this lining where the hem is, because of course there's no fusible here. So it's really just going to be pressing it. And remember, that's going to be one of your stitch lines, whether you stitch from the outside or the inside. So next we are going to treat each corner similarly that you did to the outside cover, but it is going to take a little bit of, again, finessing to get your curve. So what I have realized as I've been constructing this garden cover is that on the Bible cover, it is on the panel, it is printed in 3 different sections. Spine is a different section. So on the Bible cover, I actually cut the Peltex, the stiff interfacing, in 3 different sections. And you can see that it is much more easy to fold in the places on each side of the spine that it needs to. So on this one, I made the solid. I think as I tried to press in the spine, I think I prefer the 3 separate pieces of Peltex. But what I did was I went ahead and pressed into the corner of my spine indication. The other covers are one solid. You don't have to do it that way because we did give you additional spines on the panel, or you can make it this way too. There's not enough seam allowance to cut the fabric and make them separate unless you do use those extra spines at the bottom of the panel. So I'm just going to show you how you can make this work. And in addition, you can just use it this way also. Go ahead and cut your individual spine piece and cover pieces separate. You can do it that way, and that's probably what I will do on the next one, but I'm going to make this one work anyway, and I'll show you how I did that. Again, I kind of just eyeballed to the edge of the spine as I started to press. And then I just watched from the outside as I pressed along to try to find that spine indication on the fabric that's printed on the fabric. So a little bit like that. And then I just really simply folded. It made it easier to fold, to press that a little bit. And then I just pressed it from the outside. Kind of force that spine to be folded in the 2 different places. Then I pressed on the inside to just try to get my inside cover fabric to go into that crease a little better too. Now what I will also do is I will stitch on either side of that fold probably on both sides, just to make that a little bit easier to bend into that spine, to get that spine to bend easier, I should say. So anyway, I think it'll work just fine. By the time you stitch, you're going to stitch on either side of the spine. You're also going to stitch around the edge. You're going to come in a 1/4 inch, maybe not quite a 1/4 inch, but at least enough to catch your lining all the way around. And you could choose to have your stitching on the outside, or you can stitch it on the inside. You can do additional stitching around the areas that you want to highlight, and so that's how you can do it.